So in advance of a mediation, the most important thing is to recognise that you're not preparing for court. It's not a battleground. What you're seeking to do is to prepare to negotiate. And as with any negotiation, even if it's not within the context of a dispute, you want to know your own case. You want to be able to be persuasive and influence the other side, and you want to be able to help the mediator to help you to reach a resolution if that's the objective. So joint sessions provide a brilliant opportunity to influence the other side, and ultimately if you reach a resolution in a mediation, then that's because you've brought the other side towards you, or you've moved towards them and found a resolution that everybody can live with. So in a joint session, one of the opportunities is that you get to speak directly to the other side, and sometimes that hasn't happened for a very long time. At the same time, one of the challenges is that you can be in a space with your counterparts, and it can be difficult for people not to say things that are accusatory, which invariably will lead others to become defensive. So I think joint sessions provide a great opportunity, but they need to be handled with care. And I'd say approximately 50% of the time at mediations I have a joint session. Around 20% of the time we have one where the parties don't say very much more than their names and introducing themselves, and I do most of the speaking, and then around 30% of the time we don't have a joint session at all. So the majority of the time matters that I mediate settle on the day, or at least they reach a resolution, and then sometimes there's documentation that needs to be settled after the mediation day. If we don't reach a resolution, then we usually agree what's going to happen next. And that most commonly is a plan for me to contact the parties and see if things have developed or progressed in the kind of days and weeks that follow. So with a mediation, as soon as I'm instructed, I contact the parties. And from that point, as soon as somebody provides me with information, I'm working on it in my head. And in terms of the flexibility with that, that means that from that point in time, people can use me to help them to reach a resolution. In terms of the mediation day itself, because it does usually tend to be a day, we have a period of time together to most commonly try and reach a resolution. And with that time, we can use it as flexibly as we want. So I can spend a lot of time in shuttle diplomacy. I can spend time with people collectively together. We have an opportunity presented to us that we can use as creatively as possible. And that also relates to the way that you can reach a settlement, because the court process is quite limited in terms of the options available, whereas at a mediation you can be far more creative with the types of resolutions that you might reach. So I think with everything in a mediation, you're trying to think about how things will land in the other room. So you want to formulate something that will be persuasive to the other party. And that can be challenging because people usually formulate offers based on the way they see a dispute and the way they think of it. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to formulate an offer in a way that's different to the way that you see the case, but I think you want to be cognizant of how something will land. People often also want to see that there is a rationale behind an offer. So even if that's reverse engineered, I think it's worth thinking about that. And sometimes the way that people frame offers evolves over the course of a mediation. I usually see people formulating offers based on the way they see the case initially, and then over time they tend to formulate offers in a way that maybe is easier for the other side to get on board with. And I mean, ultimately in a mediation, you're helping both sides to formulate a story that they can live with as to why they resolve the dispute. And in the way you formulate your offers, you can help people with that. I think you're sometimes coaching parties prior to the mediation in terms of how they're going to navigate the joint session. So if you are going to have a joint session, I always say to people it's important to talk about how things have impacted you, rather than accusing people of things, because people don't listen to accusations, they just try and pick holes in them. In terms of through the process, I think that you're trying to help people to see that if they want to reach a resolution, they may have to sell it to themselves. So you're trying to help them with that, and also help them to appreciate that they're in a negotiation, so they can't convince the other side to agree with them. And I often say, if you were negotiating with me, it might be easier for you because you could convince me, but you are in litigation with the other party, and you have to say something or do something that helps them to come towards you. I think most commonly lawyers make use of the time by discussing what's happening with their clients. So it may be that there has been a reaction to a certain aspect of the case that the clients are finding difficult to get their heads around, and lawyers will commonly work with them to talk that through and reflect on it. Or there's maybe been additional information that's been shared that people are reflecting on. I think the key is to try and help your client to navigate the process, and when the mediator's not there, you can be doing that by working out what's going to be important at the next stage. And I usually leave parties with something to think about when I'm not there. So I might be going to the other room to discuss an offer, but I'll often say, if they come back with this, think about how you're going to respond to it. So I suppose I leave them with a bit of a task.